Folge 53. Rok Rozman. Ein Mann kämpft gegen 2700 Staudämme. Dies ist mein erster englischer Podcast. Leider ist mein Englisch immer ein bisschen eingerostet. Da brauche ich immer 1 oder 2 Tage Anlaufzeit. Das bitte ich zu entschuldigen. Und ebenso die Tonqualität, die ein bisschen suboptimal ist, weil Rok in einer Abstellkammer im Campingplatz Kobarit war, wo er die beste Internetverbindung hatte und einigermaßen Lärmschutz. Aber ich denke, wenn du Flüsse liebst, so wie ich, gerne darauf paddelst, angelst oder einfach nur am Fluss relaxen möchtest, dann kannst du das verzeihen. Viel Spaß bei dieser Folge. Träumst du von einer Weltreise? Würdest du deine Weltreise gerne umsetzen? Dann bist du hier richtig. Work and Travel 2.0, der Weltreise-Podcast. Mit mir, Michael Blömecke. Hi Rok, welcome to Work and Travel 2.0.de.
Hi, and thank you very much for inviting me to be here.
Yes, since I do a podcast for organizations like yours or charity organizations, I invited you to my podcast. And the other thing is to save the rivers. Since I am paddler since 30 years, I like to protect rivers from dams and pollution. And so I invited you. Introduce yourself a little bit. Who are you? What are you doing?
Okay, yeah, my name is Rok Rozman and I come from Slovenia. And I started this river conservation movement simply because I heard that they want to build 3,000 dams in my backyard in the Balkan Peninsula, which means between Slovenia and Greece, roughly. And since I'm a kayaker and biologist and a person who spends lots of time outside, I fell in love with these places over the years and I felt the duty to protect them when they were in danger. So I literally gathered all my kayaking friends and organized this action called Balkan Rivers Tour 3 years ago for the first time. It was just a super honest idea to do something cool to prove that nature conservation can be done by anybody. And it turned out to be the biggest direct action for river protection in Europe. And since then, my life's been a crazy roller coaster, just doing everything I could to protect those rivers and prove that we can do it even though we are not doctors in biology or some super big expert. We just have a super honest wish to keep those rivers the way they are.
Yes. And I saw you've got paddlers, canoeists and fishermen and all the guys who are near the river or in the river.
Yeah, my basic idea was to just gather all the people that like rivers. And this is not only kayakers, it's also rafters, like you said, fishermen or just hikers that like to walk next to rivers. And it's really encouraging to see all of them coming in to join for the actions.
Yes, and I think tourists are also interested in natural rivers and not dams or...
Yeah, for sure. I can see that on Socha River, like every day people come from all over the world to see this river. And they are always like, wow, you guys kept this river free flowing, at least in the upper reaches. And that's why we are coming here to see this beautiful river. If you would have a dam, nobody would come here. So the local people would have no real way to get the income. So then when you look at the bigger picture, protecting rivers against dams is not just a selfish act of kayaker because we want to paddle nice rapids. It's not only protecting endangered species of trout, it's also protecting the sustainable way of living for the locals and bringing in the sustainable tourism. So it's a pretty big thing. It doesn't look like a big thing at first, but then once you dig into it, it's a pretty big challenge, I would say. But it's a nice one.
Yes. And it's for the whole area.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the people who live there, tourists who come there, if they are kayaking or fishing or rafting, or only looking at the river.
Yeah, for sure. It's for everybody. I don't even see the limits in like borders or countries. I think rivers are part of the world and we are all world citizens. So I don't like this is a Slovenian river, this is an Albanian river. This is just a river. And as Europeans, we should step together and say, look, you guys that run the development, we have damaged almost 99% of rivers in Europe. This 1% that is left should be kept in a pristine state. So if you speak in that way, people can really understand and they are really supportive.
Yes, and I think rivers are connecting people.
For sure, especially in the Balkans. Balkans are like super special area of Europe, not just because of the wars that happened there, but also because of different cultures and different nations. It proved to me that all these differences are completely cancelled by the river. If you have one river that flows between three countries, it's the river that connects these three nations. And it's just beautiful to see that.
Yes. What does the project do for the people in the countries at the rivers?
Well, we want to be a different nature conservation organization. First of all, we are not like supported by European Union or any of the funds. We want to be super independent, and we are pretty glad we can do that with the help of people that donate small amounts of money regularly or some brands that support us. So by having that support, we can do things in an unconventional way. So our idea is to basically give voice to locals in all these countries that are never heard by the international media. So we come there with a big caravan of kayaks and I don't know, all these brands, and we are really interesting for the national media there and for the international media. And then when we are in the region, we invite the local initiatives that are fighting for the rivers to talk to those media, to basically say their message to the world through us. And I think this is why it really works, because we are not trying to do everything or tell the locals how it's done. We are just partnering up with the locals to fight the same fight. It's a bit conceptual and it's sometimes hard to understand, but I really deeply believe this is the only way it can work.
Yes. So you are connecting all people around the river to fight against dams.
Yeah. What happened in the first tour in the 2016 was people were encouraged by just seeing us what we've done, because it was just 5 crazy friends in a little van doing this crazy trip, and people were like, what can they do? They can't do much. And we were like, well, we're gonna try and see what we can do. And we just connected with all the little NGOs and locals, and then we stopped 7 dams, and everybody was like, whoa, how the fuck did they do that? And we don't even know, but we were just super honest in doing that. And what's a good point is that this encouraged other small initiatives to start their job in their countries. So each year I see more and more little initiatives pop up in Albania, Montenegro, Bosnia, also Croatia. And now we are building up this network. We're going to call it Balkan River Defense Network. And when you connect all these little dots into a net, then you can become pretty powerful. And then politicians are like, oh, there's a big opposition against this grid that we want to do. So maybe we should sit down and talk to them. So it's a ground up grassroots resistance against grid and just making profit.
Yes, and I think we Germans or people from Switzerland or Austria who travel to your country and to the Balkan and to the rivers, we can do a lot to help you.
Oh, for sure. Uh, I've seen that so many times when I was in Albania or Montenegro. People that live there, they don't travel much. They spend most of their lives just around their village. And they think they don't have the realization that these rivers are super rare. So when they see somebody from Germany or Switzerland come to their river and travel, I don't know, 2,000 kilometers, then they're like, whoa, this river is really special. Then it's worth to protect it, because then we don't need to work in factories for minimal salary. We can just protect this river, build a small campsite, and we can live off of that. And we're gonna have drinking water, we're gonna have a clean, beautiful river, and we're gonna have tourists, which will bring some money in, and they will bring life into the village. So it's a process, and I think it's really working. So yeah, when you're traveling, you don't need to go to Indonesia or Chile all the time. You can just go to Albania. It's super exotic, and it's going to be cheaper for you, and you're going to help the locals even more than if you fly across the world.
Yeah. Is there a problem to connect the lands from the countries on the Balkan for this project, or does this work?
Well, this is not really a problem. I think this conflict in the Balkans is just an illusion. The war did happen, it was artificially started, and we have our own ideas why it started and everything, and people are like over that. They are fed up with conflicts, and they just want to be friends. And everyday people want to help each other. Politicians are a different story. Politicians are always trying to create conflicts because it's good for them, because then they can do more corruption and everything. But everyday people that live next to rivers are just friends. We come there as Slovenians, and we are always accepted as brothers. This brotherhood still works, and I think this is a pretty powerful thing in the Balkans. So yeah, I'm pretty glad that there's no real obstacles in connecting those countries.
Yes. And it's dangerous to travel there for Germans, or
no?
So
No. That's a pretty common idea for the people from Central or Western Europe. They always ask me, is it dangerous to go travel in Montenegro or Albania or Bosnia? And I'm like, I think those are one of the best spots to go traveling, because people are really friendly. And even if you don't speak the language, everybody's gonna try to help you. They are really, really friendly. They will take you to their house. They will make lunch for you. They will have schnapps with you, lots of schnapps usually. So be ready for that. And at the end of the day, this is how you make friends, you know. And I know many people from Germany that came there once and are going back every year now. And that's a pretty meaningful thing.
Yeah, and the hospitality is great in the Balkan countries. I know it. I was traveling several times in the Balkan, and it's great to be there.
Yeah, for sure. I think all the Balkan countries are famous for hospitality, because the people are just warm and really passionate, and they want to show the foreigner what they have. And this is pretty special, because the rest of the Europe has lost that through the years of ultra development, but those places still have that, and I think that's really rich.
Yeah. You have a project. You are traveling the rivers with some guys as a project. Tell us about
this year we're making a third edition of Balkan Rivers Tour. So first one was in 2016, second one was last year. Now we're doing a third one. And basically Balkan Rivers Tour is a 1 month long expedition where we invite people to join us, either with kayaks, with fishing rods, or just with bikes or boots to hike. And then we have a program And basically we are not guides. We are just there doing our own thing, inviting people to join in, because after every kayaking session, there is a discussion or a presentation or a film projection. And then the day after, there's a creative action or protest, if you want, against the local government that want to do the money laundry by building these dams. Because once again, I think it's really important to tell to the people that these dams are not necessary at all. The region has enough electricity, so it's mostly Western European companies or financial institutions financing the projects in these countries where the legislation is pretty loose. So they bribe the local politicians to do the project, and then they take the money from the project. So all in all, it's just money laundry. So that's why we should say no as European Union citizens and say, look, this is all there is left. We won't let your greed take the last parts of nature away from us.
Yes, I think tourism, if it developed, not developed, evolved.
Yeah.
If the tourism is evolved there, it will bring more money in the countries than electricity.
For sure. There are some calculations for Albania. If Albania would only invest into solar power around Tirana, they would make more electricity than hundreds and hundreds of small dams. And then there are some calculations that say that if they would invest a minimal amount of money into tourism to just promote the region and build some small campsites, the income of the money for the local community would be like greatly bigger than the hydropower development scheme. So for sure, we are always offering sustainable tourism as an alternative, because everybody knows Socha in Slovenia. It's like European-wide famous, or maybe even world famous. But there are like at least 10 valleys similar to Socha, or with even bigger potential in the Balkans. They just don't have the name yet. So if we develop a name or recognition of those valleys, then people can really thrive on that. And also nature.
Yes, and you don't have to travel to the Great Canyon in US.
For sure, you just go to Tara in Montenegro. Yeah.
Yes. And you are making a film, a video, or a cinema film?
Yeah, it's gonna be a full-length documentary. So we're working on the film for more than a year now. We had some problems with financing it because it's a professional kind of movie, but we're good on the way, and we're gonna finish it by September. And then the film, it's called The Undamaged, saying that this is the last part of Europe that is undammed and undamaged at the same time. And it's going to be the main thing for this year's Balkan Rivers Tour. We're going to stop in all the capital cities in the Balkan countries to make a film projection and then talk about what we can do. And then the day after, we're going to make protest in all the capital cities.
Yes. And in which language is the film?
The film will be basically subtitled in English, German, and all the other languages. So we really are working hard to approach the audience, but general language is going to be English and Slovenian, because we were filming all the interviews in the home languages. So
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm awaiting the film.
Yeah, thanks. I'm awaiting the film too.
What can we do to help you with the project or the film?
Well, I think, first of all, how you can help and how anybody can help is just to join in. Just join in or follow our social media, Facebook or Instagram, where you will get updated on like daily basis what our actions are, and then just come to our actions, because we really need people and masses to show how many people care about those places. If it's just me and two friends at the protest, then nobody cares about that. But if there's 300 people from all over Europe doing a creative action, all our protests are basically creative actions. Zero aggression, zero yelling at stuff. We're just trying to expose our opinion in a good and creative way. And then this gives us the voice to really change something. And then at the end of the day, for sure, we all need finances, because the first 2 years were really hard on us. I invested all my personal budget and stuff like that, and everybody was volunteering. But it now grew to the size where we need some money coming in. So we're really glad to see that people go to our webpage, www.balkanriverdefense.org, and they donate to us. And even if it's just €5, when it adds up, we have the money to organize the actions. Because when we go on the tour, we have to rent the van for a month. We have to rent all the equipment. We have to pay for the gasoline. And this way, we can really be independent and grassroots. And I believe that only grassroots organization can be really efficient, because we are funded by everyday people that want to support us. If you're funded by European Union, fighting against European Union, there's no way you can succeed, because once you become successful, they just shut down the funding and you collapse. So it's a harder way to play the game, but I think it's the right way. And I have the deep faith in the people that support us.
Yes. I saw it on the website. You can sign the petition.
Also, for sure, yeah.
Yes. And of course, donate some money.
Mm-hmm. Petition is a really important thing. It's now run by Patagonia. They took over the petition, which is really good because they have quite an exposure. And this petition is going to be a tool for all our protests in September, to hand it over to politicians, saying, look, like, I hope there's going to be a big number, but let's say 50,000 people across Europe want you to stop financing things that are not necessary, because these projects are all financed either by foreign institutions or by taxpayers' money. So we should have a saying what they do with our money. So yeah, sign the petition for sure.
Yes. I think you thought about involving the tourists, not only the fishermen and kayaker.
Yeah, for sure. We're planning on organizing a pretty big action in the summer here on Socha, and just focusing on tourists that are in the region at that day to join us and say, look, we came from so far away to enjoy in this free-flowing river, don't destroy it. Because then we can spread a different message, you know. It's not just kayakers or fishermen, it's tourists that demand these rivers to stay the way they are.
The main power.
For sure. The main income of the region is tourism. That's.
And you have a sample. You have the Socha Valley with much tourism, and you can do it like this on Vjosa or other rivers.
For sure.
You can earn money. The whole region is earning money, and it's in the same way it's protecting nature.
For sure. I think that's a perfect solution. I still think that tourism should be sustainable, not a big scale tourism. When you have masses and masses of people, this destroys nature for sure. But if you have a sustainable tourism, which limits the amount of people that can go down the river every day to a normal number, then this is really sustainable, yeah.
Yes.
And all the tourist organizations are really supportive, because they know we are doing a good thing for them, you know, so they try and help us out.
Okay. You like to say something else, or?
Yeah, I would just like to say that those things are pretty simple. I had this book written by Edward Abbey on my bookshelf for years, and I never read it because it has a quote on the side of the book which says, "Sentiment without action is the ruin of the soul." And I never read the book because I said, if there's so much wisdom on the plate, then I don't even need to read the book. And it's so simple. If you have an emotion inside of you that this is wrong, that you don't want to see them bring the bulldozers in, then just do something about it. You can sit at home and just feel sorry and feel like, oh, they will destroy everything, and you're going to become depressed. But if you just do something and go out there and express your opinion or just join us, then you're going to feel much better. You won't be depressed because you're going to be activated, and there are pretty good chances that we're going to make it. So unless you try, you cannot succeed. So
Yes.
just don't be overwhelmed by the problems. Try to act, and the day will be much nicer for all of us.
Yes. And I think a problem is only a task which is not solved.
For sure. I can totally agree. I heard that I had a talk the other day with my ex-professor at university, and she said, if you don't have problems, you're probably dead. Problems are part of life. So if you see it as little challenges, then and smile while you tackle them, then all is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this way we can inform the people that it's not so green if you build a dam, because if the dam destroys the area, it destroys the valley, which is flooded.
For sure.
All fishes and animals and plants. And yes, if the river runs free, it's natural.
For sure. I think partly why hydro is so widely distributed is because they had a good propaganda. We all grew up hearing that hydro is the best solution and the greenest solution because we were taught about that in the schools. But this is not the truth. Last few years, science has come up with results that say that hydro is one of the worst ways of producing energy. All the big dams in the subtropical environments are not protecting the climate. They're destroying the climate and worsening the climate crisis because they flood the meadows and forests and everything, and then this rots underwater and it produces methane and carbon dioxide. So per 1 megawatt of produced energy, electricity, big hydro is more dirty than thermal power plants, which are burning coal, which is crazy to believe, but these are the facts now. So saying that dams will solve the climate crisis, this one is off now. And then basically when you build a dam in the river, you kill the essence of the river, which is flow. So once the dam is in there, you damage the environment really badly. So the fish can travel upstream to spawn. So they are not bringing nutrients from the sea to the mountains like salmon are doing or eels in Europe. So you stop the transport of really important nutrients. And then on the downstream side, you stop the sediment that is traveling from the mountain to the sea. And the sea needs these minerals. And also the groundwater is affected by that. And we all drink groundwater. So dams have so many negative impacts. But also they have a positive side. They give us electricity, and we are just using electricity to record this podcast. So we're not saying we should destroy or remove all of them. We are just saying we should stop building them in big scale if we don't really need them. Or invest into solar or wind or tidal power plants where they are not really bad for the environment. There's always a compromise, and we should just talk about it more.
And the other thing is you have to put the sediments from the dam, and because it's filling the lake, and sometimes there's no water to drive the
We just had this happen on Socha this winter. They had to open up a dam on Doblar, which is downstream of Tolmin.
Yes.
I think they didn't clean it for 25 years. And the lake itself, the reservoir, was so packed with sediment and gravel that the lake itself wasn't functional as a reservoir anymore. So they opened it up and all the canyons reappeared after all these years, and it was just crazy to see that. If you go to our Facebook, you can also see the film we made about that. It's a short film, and people were just amazed. And now after seeing what's under there, they are saying, well, why shouldn't we just remove that dam?
Yes.
Because there wasn't a single house without electricity when the dam was out of power for a month. So we have enough electricity in the country so we can easily remove the dam and have a nice stretch of river there, which will bring even more tourists and nature. So we can repair old mistakes, but it's even better if we don't even make the mistake in the first place. It's cheaper, for sure. You know?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the talk. And if I am in Slovenia, I think I contact you.
Oh, for sure. Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to spread to raise awareness about dams. And yeah, whenever you're close to Socha, just call me and let's go kayaking.
Yes. Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Let's go!
Vielen Dank für deinen Besuch. Abonniere Work and Travel 2.0 auf iTunes oder in deiner Podcast-App. Work and Travel 2.0 in einem Wort geschrieben. Die beste Bildung findet ein gescheiter Mensch auf Reisen, sagte schon Goethe.